Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, whichever time best suits you from at the time you're watching this video. Now, within this video, all I want to do is just to briefly go over how to set an assignment via Teams. If you are using Teams, that is, at home to teach your students or to set them particular work. Now, something about assignments, which we can find this tab here, is that it places accountability onto your students when it comes to task setting. Now, during the lockdown period, I've spent many hours teaching students online and found, the barrier of technology meant that, I was setting work for my students and I wasn't quite sure whether they were completing it or not. This assignment-based tab here, it kind of allows you to work around that because it places that accountability on students. You can review the work that they're producing. You can dip into students as they're writing just to check to see what they're doing, if they are doing the work, and pick up on any misconceptions. And then you can review the entire class at the end of the assignment period, at the end of the lesson, end of the homework task, whatever it may be that you're setting, and you can provide some quality feedback. In regard to feedback, though, I will do a second video specifically on feeding back from assignments. So for now, I'm just going to show you how to set a basic Word document that students can edit and work on as if they're working in an exercise book. So we click on our teams first. Now, as you can see, I've got lots of teams here. I'm going to click on my experimental class of Year 11s. They're sick and tired of me by now, constantly setting them homeworks and so forth. As you can see at the top here, I'm on my posts. This is, our main wall where I'm posting their assignments, etc., and so forth. I want to go to assignments, much like we did when we were creating the assignment-based quizzes for the low stakes quizzing, great for starter activities. And I want to click create. We don't want the quiz this time. We would, what we're after is a straight up basic assignment that our kids can complete. Now my title, I'm going to call this test paper. I'm going to add a category. Now I type these in. I just like to distinguish between what assignments are language based, what are literature based, being an English teacher myself. But if I were a science teacher, perhaps I might choose physics or biology, just so I know where I'm going there. Now the instructions, please complete. Obviously you put in there what you feel is necessary. The beauty of the instructions is that once pupils open this on their phones, their tablets, their laptops, they can have an immersive reader that will read that instruction out to them. So if you're wondering, like, oh, what if my students aren't able to read? What if that's a difficulty for them? There is that option there, so that it is inclusive. That is the only thing that can be read to them, though. So you might want to put specific instructions in there. Underneath the instructions is where we add our resources. A crucial step. You could just put instructions there and then just leave it and set the assignment. But this for me is, in terms of when it comes to feeding back is crucial. Now it's really important. I will point out mistakes that I made was that I was uploading documents from, my computer. I've got documents, practice question Tybalt, for example, saved on my PC. I uploaded this document hoping that students can edit and then, write their answers for me, and I could mark, and it would be a wonderful world. The problem was that obviously my students all had a range of devices that they were using, and as a result they didn't all have the same programs that I have, the same version of Word, and as a result they couldn't see the document or they couldn't edit it, and it was a nightmare just trying to figure out who in the class could do it and who couldn't. A way to work around this is where we click on new file here. And this allows me to create a new file based within the web browser itself, based within Teams. That way, it doesn't matter where the student is viewing this document from, so long as they have a browser and they're viewing it through a browser and the app if it's on their phone, they should be able to view and edit the document. In this case, I want to set up a Word document, but you are free, obviously, to use Excel or PowerPoint, to create graphs and so forth. But for me, an English teacher, I just want my kids to start writing and producing essays. Now, the name of the file, let's call it test, and let's attach that to the assignment. Okay, there is my document. At the moment though, students can't edit. That's a problem for me. If they can't edit it, that means they're not going to be able to write in it, and that's where I want them to produce the work and their answers. So I click on the ellipses, the three dots just at the end here, and I want students edit their own copy. Okay, just make sure that that's checked off. It changes it there, and if I click on that document now, as you can see, it is just a blank document. So if my instructions were, write me a poem, I give them a blank piece of paper, they can now edit this document, they can write their poem, and it will come back to me as and when they turn in their assignment. I'm going to just put a practice question. So how does Shakespeare present male aggression within Act 1, Scene 1 of the play Romeo and Juliet? Excuse my type errors there, my keyboard is slightly broken at the moment. So that's a really basic question. If I wouldn't typically just type the question in. I mean, I've got stacks of resources saved on my PC. I'm sure many teachers have a vast array of resources and documents ready to upload for their students. So I might open another Word document from my PC, and then I would copy and paste my resource into this document. But for now, for this purpose, I'm just going to type the question in there. Something that I have done as well, which makes it easier when it comes to marking and feeding back this work, is I like to insert a basic table. I'll type in there so I can then make this larger. And I want my students to answer within that bubble. That way it stands out to me. I know where their answer is. So when it comes to answering, I can do it quickly and efficiently. Something that I always do as well with the table, again, talk about speed in my marking, is just change the color background, change the font color if you want. So you know what is your work, what is the question, what is the resource, and what is the student answer. That way, when they start writing their answer, I can clearly see that that's their work. Okay, sorry, I'm not wasting any time writing an answer efficiently for you, but I will show you what feedback looks like in the next video. Now, if I click close, I'm back onto this screen. That test paper, if I click on it again, as you can see, it's automatically saved. All of those edits I did, they save in real time. And this is where it gets really, really good, because if you are at home, you're teaching a class, let's say you've got a 60-minute lesson, a 100-minute lesson, however many minutes you've got at home, your kids are online, they've accessed, they're in the video call with you, you set this assignment. As soon as this assignment is set, they can dive straight into that Word document. And because it saves, in real time, you as a teacher can click on that student's name, dip into their assignment, and you can see exactly what they're doing, as if you're in the classroom with them, looking over their shoulder and seeing what they're writing. But obviously the benefit is like you've got that social distancing covered, because you're at your computer station and they are at theirs, wherever they may be. So yeah, that's the real beauty of assignments in my opinion. So we've added our resource. This is really interesting, and I'm going to do a second video on this. I'm not going to show you now because it will take some time. The rubrics are there obviously to map out the skills and the marking criteria, the success criteria, as it were, for the work that I want them to complete. And that can be as complex as you would like it to be, or it could be as simple as you want it to be, depending on what what you want from this particular work. And I will show you, especially if you're an English teacher, how how easy and how much of a game changer that will be in terms of feeding back. My class, yes. To all students, yes. I'm going to change the date. I've mentioned this before, but I will change it. I mean, I want it in on Monday, but I'll set the deadline for Sunday. I set it for 8 o'clock, and I don't care if they do it, they hand it in after that 8 p.m. deadline. It's interesting for me because it will tell me how late it is. So if anyone's doing it on Monday morning, I can, pick them up on that and say it's not good enough. Right, so that's all done. I've completed the assignment. If I click on the assign button now, boom, the test paper has been set. Okay, so that has now been set to my class wall. It will pop up here in a moment. It just takes a few minutes to do so. but that has been set as of today. Next video, I'll show you how to edit and how to set up a marking rubric for said assignment. Thanks for listening. I'll see you all soon.